You're just too good to be true. Can't take my eyes off you. You'd be like heaven to touch. I wanna hold you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Hello and welcome to Through the Keyhole, the show where we say hello to celebrities' goodbyes. As always, we borrowed the keys to two fascinating homes belonging to two well-known personalities. And with the help of the blessed Lloyd Grossman, for it is he, we'll be taking a privileged peep behind closed doors. But the question is, whose? Well, to try and answer that question, we have our panel. So what's the game all about? Well, instead of having celebrities show you around their homes themselves, we've got the objective eye of the resourceful Lloyd Grossman. And from his insights, our panelists have to inspect, reflect, and finally detect whose homes we're in. So let's join Lloyd right now, en route to the United States and house number 1. Very exotic. And watch closely, because remember, the clues are there as we go through the Keyhole.
It's apparent that whoever lives here is a very creative person, because as soon as you enter this house, you're faced with two terrific works of art. A 19th century bit of American decorative art. This gilded horse appears to be part of a weather vane, and it's contrasted with a powerful work of 20th century abstraction. So this person likes the stimulation that comes from contrast. Now look at this room. It is high, it is wide, it is handsome. And there's a gleaming grand piano in here. Maybe music is important. Certainly, it makes a very handy stand for dozens of photographs. So this person prizes time with family and friends. You can also see that they have some political connections, because there is, for example, a framed portrait of Robert Kennedy, and there's a postcard from the White House signed by George Bush. All around me are marvelous works of art, and whoever lives here truly has eclectic taste. So there are large, impressive works, there are smaller scale works of what you could describe as folk art, and there are more zany things, like this little tribute to the hits of Broadway. Now look at the books on the coffee table. Well, we can see that someone likes playing golf. Here's a biography of Arnold Palmer. And they also like sports in general, because there are 2 books by Jim Murray, the great Pulitzer Prize-winning American sports writer. Throughout this room, there is a sense of playfulness and wit. There's a charming Calder mobile hanging above that staircase. And whether they're collected as works of engineering or works of art, one doesn't know, but they're certainly amusing. There are nice model locomotives which also show a certain love affair with things British. This dining room shows a deep appreciation of American roots and history. It's very restrained, but even the most simple things in it are very beautiful, like this oval maple-top dining table. I am surrounded by 4 spectacular portraits, example of what used to be called American primitives, now known as 19th century folk art. But possibly the most stunning object in the whole room is this wonderful sulky. That's a sort of horse racing cart. It's a sport that's very popular in the United States. Now, even though this room is very American, it does have hints of abroad, because the fabric on the chairs is Provençal. And that leads us into this rather French kitchen. It's a beautiful kitchen. You can tell that these people like the European lifestyle, and judging from what the tiles are inscribed with, they like many of the best things in life. In this master bedroom, you can see the uncluttered look and the big spaces and the pale colors that typify this whole house. Well, it's very easy to live in, it's nice to look at, and it provides a fabulous showcase for the extremely varied collection that whoever lives here has amassed. And this person has certainly cast their net very wide. In this room alone, of course, we have wonderful pictures, a stunning bit of late 18th century Middle European furniture, and an outstanding Tiffany stained glass wisteria lamp. Well, this feels very much like backstage, and it's a substantial wardrobe. It's one of the few rooms in the house where there's almost no art. There is one little nude, but there's plenty to look at here. And you can tell that whoever lives here, in spite of the restraint of the decor, is actually a rather flamboyant individual. There's a tremendous array of shoes, ranging from fox-headed slippers to rather jazzy cowboy boots. There's a color-coordinated display of pullovers and quite a snappy line in bomber jackets. But what's most interesting in this room, I think, are the hats. Straw hats, baseball caps, tweed caps, all the sort of thing that a keen golfer needs. On a spring day in Missouri, the fishing looks good, but year-round, this is a fantastic setting. Now, let's look at the evidence. A world full of music, the love of art, dressing to impress. Who lives in a house like this? David, it's over to you.
Well, thank you very much indeed, Lloyd. And now for our home and studio audience, but not for our panel, here's whose house it is. Well, clue there, perhaps, for our panel? Let's start off with you, Jonathan.
Well, we'd all wish for a reaction from an audience like that.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I think the house says a lot about the person, although I don't know who it is. And I've written all these things down. I think Lloyd said eclectic. That's absolutely right. And you normally find that these geniuses in their trade tend to be so and have many interests. And I think this person is probably right at the top of their profession. I've written a few things down. Cultured, intelligent, forget the sweaters, not my taste, but a classical person, I think. I personally believe, although we've seen the abstract art and the golfing, that the most important clue, perhaps, could be the hits of Broadway.
Francis.
Again, Lloyd's been a bit naughty with all those golf sweaters. It would have been easy to think it could have been a golfer, but it isn't. The grand piano, as we say,
No.
and the hits of Broadway. It's a performer. Is it a singer? It's a singer.
It is a singer. Jono.
What an amazing, fantastic house. And piano root. And I'm thinking, you know, in the performing arts, do they play that piano maybe? Do they? Yeah, they do. They're playing it now. I can hear them.
I'm just wondering whether or not this performer also writes his own material.
Judging by the audience, probably not.
Not much, no. Very little.
I think this person is an American, but clearly very fond of Europe and a certain and a hankering after British things
And
as well.
all those hats. Is it someone that we've seen who makes regular visits over here and performs in this country as well? Maybe is it like a sort of a?
I'm not over here, not on a song that 2 words in the title that would tell you immediately who this person was. I think it's a song that everyone associates with him the most, though not the only.
We are stumped.
And the song is called Moon River.
Oh, no, it's not possible.
Andy Williams.
Andy Williams.
Andy Williams. Wow. Well, today Andy Williams is out there in Branson and not here with us, but Lloyd caught up with him at his other home, another home, in Palm Springs.
Andy, after a period of 30 years, Music to Watch Girls By was suddenly on everyone's lips again, especially a new generation. You were on Top of the Pops performing it. How did that feel?
Well, it felt really weird, you know, to have a song that you'd recorded that many years ago suddenly become a hit in England, and due to a car commercial. And then that perpetrated some other things. Then the record company came out with an album called Music to Watch Girls By. The first one, though, was the Can't Take My Eyes Off of You. That became a popular thing, and then on television, and then again, everything just happened. And suddenly, you know, I was asked to come over again. And I was singing on Top of the Pops 30 years later. The girls are still screaming.
Your show was a very significant showcase of new talent. Tell me about some of the people who were on it.
My agent called me and he said, we've got a guy that we think is going to be really big. His name is Elton John. Will you put him on your show? And he was my best friend, too. I mean, not Elton, but my agent, Jerry Perencio. And I said, well, gee, Jerry, you know, we're just getting going. We need Bob Hope and Bing Crosby and Judy Garland. And we need to get ratings, you know, and nobody knows Elton John over here. And he said, well, you got to do me a favor and put him on. I said, all right. Well, by the time we got around to doing the show with Elton, his record had come out here, and it was a big smash.
What was your greatest single? Because the most well-known was Moon River.
The biggest selling record I ever had was Love Story, because the movie was so popular all over the world, and the record was a big record all over. I don't know whether it's a big record in England, but it was a big record. And another one was the theme from Godfather. My record of theme from Godfather was so big in Italy, they had more pictures of me on the theater than they had of Marlon Brando to sell the movie.
Tell me a bit about Branson, Missouri, because it's not very well known outside of the States, yet in this country it's one of the biggest tourist attractions. Can you just explain it?
My brother Don, who was handling a guy named Ray Stevens, who had a theater there. He had opened one in 1991. In 91, I went down to see Ray Stevens, and Don said, I think you ought to open a theater here. He said, I said, well, it's all country. He said, well, everybody knows you from television and records, and I think they'll come and see you, whether you're country or not. So on that, I opened a theater.
A 2,000-seat theater.
2,000-seat theater.
Fairly big enterprise.
Very beautiful theater. It's one of the prettiest theaters. It would be nice in England or anywhere, you know, in San Francisco or Chicago or New York. It's different than most of the theaters there.
And until recently, you performed 12 shows a week there.
Well, I had some problems with my throat recently, and I couldn't sing. And I haven't been singing for 6 months, but now it's getting better. And the doctor finally said, I don't think we'll have an operation. We don't have to do that. I think you ought to start vocalizing and getting back in shape. Because, you know, it's like an athlete stopping performing for a while. It takes a month or so to get back in shape, get your chops going.
Well, we look forward to your chops. I want to thank you so much for letting us visit you here in California and also in Branson. And I know you're a collector.
You're kidding.
So you will love this amazing artifact,
This is a
Through the
beautiful
Keyhole key.
gold key. Through the Keyhole. I appreciate this very much.
Thank you very much.
Put it on my dog and...
If it's a big dog.
Yeah, it's a big dog, but I don't think he can carry this. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Andy Williams there. Andy Williams from Palm Springs and from Branson. I wonder who's next. And of course, our thanks to our glorious panel, to Jonathan, to Francis, and to Jono. Until the next time, goodbye for now.